Welcome to life in southern Lorain County. Seems like every crossroads you come to, there's a train on it and it's moving 3 miles an hour. Speaking of crossroads, I'm at a place with motorcycle riding that I never saw myself or thought I would be. I have my Victory, and as much as I enjoy the bike, it is going to need an extensive repair this year, probably. It's been jumping out of second gear for 2 summers now. This will be the start of the 3rd season with it, and I've been babying the whole thing because I know what's involved in repairing it. You see, Victory built their drivetrain similar to a lot of Japanese style cruisers, and to get to the transmission requires removing the engine from the motorcycle, tearing the top end of the engine apart, splitting the cases, and then you have access to the transmission. Just to buy all the replacement parts for the transmission from a Victory dealership, or an Indian dealership now, would be about $1,500 just for the parts. Then I'm paying a technician anywhere from $70 to $125 an hour to do all the work, for a total of about 20 hours worth of labor. It's a lot of money to rebuild a motorcycle that really isn't worth anything. Since Victory shut this line down, it's plummeted the resale value of these motorcycles. So even if I pay the big money to rebuild it, I'll never get out of this motorcycle what I have in it. Does that matter? Should that matter? Should I just fix it and keep the bike forever and not worry about it? I mean, I get enough enjoyment out of just riding it that I could almost justify that. But another angle of this situation I'm in is, since I've moved to northern Ohio, I just don't enjoy the ride anymore as much. I live in a part of the state that's just flat out boring. The only thing of beauty or scenic value is Lake Erie itself, and even that, it's just kind of boring. It only looks the same from, spot to spot to spot, and a lot of the scenic areas are now blocked by housing developments or great big mansions that people built walls around, and you can't really see a lot of it from the highway or the road anyway. To get to the beautiful riding part of this state, I have to go 2 hours south just to get the good riding. And in the process, I'm always riding alone, and it just gets boring as can be. My wife can't ride with me. She's just too frightened of the thought of getting injured or killed in a motorcycle crash, and she can't let that thought go. So when I'm on a motorcycle, it's always just me. None of my friends are real riders. They'll ride to the bar and back, or they'll ride to the club and back, but they don't want to go out for hours on end and chase curves and horizons and sunsets like I do. So I don't really have anyone to share the moment with, and it's not easy for me, because for 25 years, 20 years of my life, I planned my future in my head around getting a touring style motorcycle and making my summers revolve around doing just that. And I want to ride to Myrtle Beach, I want to ride to Daytona, I want to ride to Sturgis, I want to ride to the West Coast and back. I want to do that. But none of this is likely ever going to happen. I'm not in a position to make that happen anymore. So my thoughts are, just give up the passion, walk away from it, give up the dream and the goal of riding across country, keep this bike and rebuild it and turn it into a bit of a hot rod just for fun every now and then, but spend $5,000 to $8,000 doing it, sell the bike for a few dollars at whatever I can get out of it in its current condition, and go buy the bagger. Every decision in this scenario is going to cost me something, and I'm not in a mental position yet to make that decision, and it sucks. And I'm sure anyone, the handful of people that might watch this video, are going to tell me something different. I know those of you who are the type of rider that I used to be are going to tell me, sell that thing for a couple bucks and go get your bagger. Those of you who aren't hardcore riders, that are into bar hopping and being hooligans around town, are going to tell me to rebuild the bike and turn it into a burnout machine. And then there's going to be some of you tell me that I'm in a situation now with the wife who won't ride, and I'm not enjoy riding in Ohio to begin with, to just give it up. But I guess making the video and talking about it to myself, I hope to focus in on what I really want to do, because I don't know, I ain't figured it out yet. I haven't got an answer. The type of riding I'm doing right now isn't something that I can say that I want to do very often anymore. It's just boring. I mean, out putzing around on back roads, as much as I like riding back roads, by myself, without any kind of plan in mind, knowing that I have to be at work in a few hours anyway, it's not something that's enjoyable. It's just kind of like a chore. I'd love to be able to take this GoPro hobby of mine, vlogging hobby of mine, and really build on it. I'd love to have a successful vlogging channel, but in order to do that, I got to get rid of the Victory motorcycle. People don't tune in to YouTube to see motorcycle videos about a 10-year-old Victory motorcycle. It's just not interesting. I don't know if Victories were ever that popular with people on YouTube looking for motorcycle information anyway. They were always a brand. It was the red-headed stepchild of the industry. So I think in order to be successful, you got to have a Harley or an Indian. I'm not sure about crotch rockets. There may be some guys who ride the sport bikes that have 100,000 followers and millions of views. I don't know, because I don't watch those things, and I never will buy a sport bike. The closest, but even at that, I don't know that I'd ever buy it. I'm a cruiser V-twin style rider. Lived in south central Pennsylvania my whole life till about 5 years ago, and the riding out there is really as good as anywhere in the country, in my opinion. I used to ride aggressively. Like, it was awesome to me to be able to take turns and feel my floorboard scraping the whole way around the curve, or my foot pegs scraping on the blacktop. And it was a challenge to be able to see how aggressive I could take a curve and recover and pick up speed. And I used to love technical riding. That's why I rode, and the beauty of the elevation changes and all the sights and beauty of the Allegheny Mountains and the Appalachian Mountains. I don't have any of that out here, and I have never found anything that rivals that. There is some things in southern Ohio that are kind of close, but again, I got to ride 2 hours in one direction just to get into that area. And to get down there, it's riding through 4-lane highways and dodging traffic, people who are horrible drivers and don't look out for you, and it's just an non-fun experience. And I continue to ask myself, is it worth dealing with it? I still want a ride. I still want to do these things, but then at what cost and what expense? I don't know. I don't know. Excuse me. It's beautiful outside, I know that. 60 couple degrees. Windy as hell, but we have a gale warning. If you live near the lake or you're out on the lake, there's a warning to be careful. There's enough wind coming off the lake to capsize a small vessel, so I'm not going any further north. I don't want any part of this wind, so I head south towards home. Something dead in the area here, all these turkey buzzards flying around. Tractors and dozers going in and out of fields. Spring's here. They're making the roads a mess with mud from their tires and tracks. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, maybe even later on the night, so the old pancake that I live in will be a sloppy, wet mess for the next week. Nowhere for the water to run off at around here. It just kind of lays, soaks into the ground. There's a lot of sandstone in the ground around here, so it acts like a natural filter, so it doesn't take terribly long for the water to run off. I have been incredibly impressed the past 5 years with the amount of water that builds up, but it never really floods. It always just soaks in, and I'm assuming it's due to the filtering process of the sandstone that lies in the ground everywhere out here. Good thing, because we'd be underwater all the time.